Hello, and welcome to my new home and also my house tour. The room that you'll see here on your side is my living room, and it's becoming quickly one of my very favorite spaces in the entire house. It's just very cozy and warm, and we really love spending our evenings in this area. Now, just focus on this side. That's all that's important. It's just a very pretty space. This isn't, well, okay, we haven't got everything set up in the house. Really just that section, actually. This is the other half of the living room that is more just a conglomeration of random furniture, some of which is actually not our own that we're storing for others. But did you like the other section that I've got put together? Now, you might notice this room's kind of dark. There is no overhead lighting for some reason in this entire room, so that's part of the plans that will be coming up, and eventually it won't look like this, so stay tuned. And if we go into the next room here, this leads into the dining room directly. Now, it does look like we have a lot of stuff, but one good thing about moving is that you get to go through everything you own and get rid of stuff you don't need anymore. Now, I've got to be honest, the pile is gone. And if you've watched my previous videos, you may know the pile used to be this massive conglomeration of fabric and projects and clothes and everything else that used to sit in my craft room on the floor, and it was just ginormous and horrible, so I no longer have it, but that's okay. We're gonna be more organized now. Now from the living room, we come into our very large dining room, and this is also where we have the closet under the stairs, and like Harry Potter, this is my husband's room. And then a room off of the dining room, we have what we'll be using as an office space. It's technically a spare bedroom, but it's gonna be a really nice office space. Kind of a combination of where my husband's desk will be and sort of some sewing room type things. Just, we obviously haven't figured it out yet. And then there's also a pretty massive closet in here, which is pretty fantastic. We love the storage space. Now, if we look at the rest of the dining room, obviously this will eventually be used for dining. It's just our table is deconstructed currently. And that's just a box of polyfill sitting here. Nothing to be worried about, just some leftover polyfill from my previous projects. That's all to see in this room. Let's go on to the next one. In here we have the kitchen. It's a moderate sized kitchen. I will say there will be many cosmetic changes to this room, so if you're not enjoying what you're looking at, don't worry. There's not as much counter space as in the last place we had, but it's not terrible. It could be worse. A couple of my favorite aspects of the kitchen. First off, the giant windows above the kitchen sink, I think are lovely and gorgeous and are just a lovely view. And then secondly, this massive built-in cabinet with lovely little show cupboards with the glass in them. I have a lot of glassware that I collect that I think will look really cute in there, and I'm really loving. And then off of the kitchen, we have our downstairs bathroom, which is very lovely, very recently updated, and actually has heated floors, which is really fantastic. Now, just kind of find your way in here, because the door sort of opens at a weird angle, if you can kind of see back here at all. Shower with soft closed doors. Ooh, one of my favorite aspects. And then if you're feeling like it's a little cramped, that's okay, because this door here actually leads back into the office. We're back. So it's just a full circle, really. Actually, I was thinking if I didn't want to go to the gym, I could just walk laps around the downstairs. Hey, the tour's moving. Come on, we're going upstairs. Let's continue on with the tour. Now, if we look here over to the side, we'll see the other spare bedroom. We've been going through a lot of stuff recently, mostly our childhood toys that we probably need to get rid of. One of my personal favorites was this little gorilla that I got as a kid, and I loved him. I actually never gave him really a name, but as I was going through toys the other day, I discovered that his name is actually Monica, which feels wrong, but that's okay. We're getting to know each other all over again. Now, the best part about this room possibly is the fact that it has giant closets. There's two right here, which is fantastic. and they both have a massive amount of storage space and places to hang clothes. And let's just look at this one over here. It's a lot bigger, and there's a lot more storage space actually. It's wider on this side, big enough to fit my wedding dress that is really poofy. So yeah, this one's important. And if we direct our eyes over here, we'll see what used to be my craft room. Essentially, it's quite a mess, but we'll get there. And I also think it's interesting to note the paint scheme in this room. Almost feels like a period piece of 2012-ish, but I don't hate it, if I'm being honest. I wouldn't have done it, but it'll probably be a while till we paint anything else over it. And we also have an upstairs bathroom. This one's a little bit more spacious, but hasn't been redone quite as recently. It's got actual, like regular tub and shower, and then another nice closet and storage space. Loving the amount of closets in this house. Possibly my favorite part is the beautiful skylight. I honestly didn't think I'd ever have a house with a skylight because what a unique feature. And the last bedroom is our bedroom, the primary bedroom. I'm really excited about, we've never really had like an adult bed frame before, and we just purchased our first adult bed frame, and I really, really love it. It just, I feel like is exactly my taste. I think it's so, so cute. So I'm super happy with it. Again, there's a ton of closet space in here. So this is my husband's closet. We have this additional closet that goes back into the eaves of the house, like super significantly, which is fantastic. I actually put most of my fabric in there, necessary. And then over here, I've got kind of what I would consider my dressing area. Now, I get up about an hour before my husband does in the morning, so I wanted to be able to get dressed without waking him up. So I purposely created this little dressing room oasis back here. I've had this freestanding wardrobe for a while now, and I really like it for a lot of my clothes because you get to see them a lot easier. So I put it here to create this L shape. So then if you follow this, it goes back into my closet, and I've got the rest of my clothes there. And this is where I get dressed then in the mornings. And I've got this little end table here then as well that I use to store a lot of the rest of my clothes. So that is, for all intents and purposes, the house tour. Now, I did omit a laundry room because it is like literally stacked full of stuff, and a basement because it's got a little bit of a dungeon-esque atmosphere. But other than that, you saw most of the house, and we are really loving being in it already, and just, it's so much more spacious. It is a very nice place to have expanded to from our apartment, and we've gotten a lot more actually set up since then. So the other half of the living room has been set up, and I feel like it really makes everything feel a little bit more like home because our things are getting established and it's just feeling more finalized. Now, we do have a lot of cosmetic stuff we still want to change, so we haven't really set up the dining room. The kitchen's still kind of a mess, and the laundry room needs the most amount of work when it comes to actually doing some like kind of small level remodeling projects. We've also got the office set up quite a bit better than the last you would have seen it. It is like a pretty put together room at this point. And I have also been working to decorate, and this sounds weird, but the bathroom, I love collecting old perfume bottles and little knickknacks, and it's been really fun to put those out and display them with my favorite pieces of jewelry, and it's just making the place feel a lot more like home. Now, the thing that I want to talk about is how there's just like so much stuff you need when you buy a house, and I didn't really realize this, I guess. We factored in all the things that like you need, like homeowners insurance. Oh yeah, we've been price checking that forever, figuring out how much we can afford a month and like paying our mortgage, etc. Oh yeah, we've been totally researching this on top of it. But just all the random stuff that after you move in and you're like, oh, this house has this, so now we have to purchase this. Things like, oh, we had to buy hooks to hang our keys on the wall that we're missing. We bought a dehumidifier for the downstairs because we never had one before. And then there's the little items for like our remodel projects. I've bought like some wood glue and some paint touch-ups, just a million things, and they add up so fast. So for some of the items, I've been trying to minimize what I'm spending. So the first project that I was working on is a mystery. I want you to deduce from these items, what do you think I'm gonna make? And if you guessed clothespin basket, you would be correct, because that's what it is. I saw this picture on Pinterest and I just thought it was so cute. I love this so much. I just think it is so kind of like kitsch, but also just adorable. Honestly, the only thing about this project that was challenging was finding a place to make it. I actually got rid of my sewing desk because it's not a sewing desk. It's a really big office desk that was just so big. It's too big, too oversized, and not meant for the purpose I was trying to use it for. So I decided moving was a good time to get rid of it. So I no longer have that, but that also means I don't really have a surface to sew on right now. Until I have a more permanent sewing setup, I am functioning on my coffee table, which is pretty low to the ground. So I'm going to be sitting on my step stool, which is still too high. So I'm ready for back problems, but I want to do some sewing, so it's worth the sacrifice. I'm honestly not really sure what advice I can offer for how to make this because I was just kind of winging it. I used the hanger that I picked out as a guide for how big I cut the squares for the body of the actual washing machine. I double layered my white fabric. I feel like the white fabric that I have, it's only like 30% cotton, so it's not super heavy duty. Plus, when I was growing up, we had a clothesline, and I feel like our clothespin bag really went through it. Like, it took a lot of wear. So I wanted to make it pretty sturdy. So I cut 4 squares of white, and then I cut 2 squares of my pretty interior fabric for my washing machine. That way, it's like multiple thicknesses. I serged around the edges of all the squares to make sure all the edges inside were clean and they weren't going to just like tear through eventually. I then lined them up and pretty much just kind of eyeballed where I wanted the hole or like the door for my washing machine to be and just made a rough circle. That's the only note that I would make for this project is I wish I had made the hole a little bit higher up. That limits how many clothespins you can keep in it because obviously if it's too low, they just kind of start falling out of that hole. Before I sewed all the pieces together, I ended up adding those designs out of my black felt that I had. I used a silver thread as my top stitching thread. That way it would kind of add like a little design as I was sewing onto it. Also, I still cannot find my box of thread, so all I have is a box of embroidery thread, so I was using what I had. I don't even know where my black thread is at. I tried to kind of make it look like little buttons and things. I don't know how successful it was, but I didn't really feel like it was that important because it's sort of supposed to be cutesy and cartoony. And then I made ties out of my interior contrast fabric to tie it to the hanger. I know that my original inspiration just had ties that you would actually put on your clothesline, but that seems really annoying to untie it and retie it every time. And I'm not leaving it outside all the time. So I wanted something that could be really mobile. And then I just basically layered it all right sides together and sewed it together. It like really made me scratch my head for that last step, and I can't really explain why. I think it's because I'm so used to having to finish projects by hand sewing because there's not a hole in them that you can just pull it all right sides out. But I am not kidding. I repinned this like 3 different times because I layered the pieces in the wrong order. So just make sure you follow the rule of right sides together. I don't know why it confused me so much, but it did. And then here she is, all finished. The reason you want to make the body a little bit narrower is because I have mine actually hanging from the top section of the hanger, if that makes sense. Basically, if it's just hanging from that bottom bar, the weight of the clothespins will make it sink together, that it won't stay like this nice square shape. So you want to have it a little bit smaller. That way it will hold itself up and in the correct shape. The next project that I started working on was one to kind of protect some of our belongings. So the big rug that we have in our living room is actually a hand-me-down rug from my mom, and I love it. She has actually been saving it for me for like 2 years from when she stopped using it because I really liked it, and I said I will use that someday, but I don't have a place for it right now. So we've finally been able to use it. I've had to do some spot cleaning on it, so I've been like really anal about like, get that dirty thing off of the carpet because it's white. Like, you have to be really careful with it. So I wanted to make something to go underneath my husband's feet because if you look, it's kind of hard to tell. It's easier to see in person, but where his feet are in front of the lazy boy, there's like a dark shadow, and I think it's because he wears black socks all the time. We're like an absolutely no shoes on carpet household because that's disgusting, but I think it's just his socks are making this mark. So we wanted to get some sort of mat to put down there, but I don't want to purchase a mat. So I just grabbed this cotton polyester blend yarn that I had in my yarn stash, which is as massive as always, and crocheted this little kind of mini rug. I think it could be bigger, but I used a whole skein. I could go back and make it bigger because I do have some more of this navy, but for now, this is what I have. Hey, I got the rug all done. You want to try it out? What?